In today's video, we're going to talk about camera gear that I would buy if I was to start all over again in 2024. And the first piece of gear that I would buy is this. This is the SmallRig friction arm with the clamp. And this little guy is so affordable, yet so practical. First, you can get really cool POV shots. All the different POV shots in the intro of this video was filmed with this friction arm and clamp, clamping it to the doorway, to the door of the fridge, clamping it to my Red Bull can. Wherever you can think of clamping this, you can get a really cool POV shot. The second reason why I love it is that you can use it to film a lot of BTS content. For myself, as a solo content creator, because I'm often filming alone, it is nice to be able to get those BTS shots for me to show later on my channel to you guys to show how I filmed a certain shot or just showing the behind the scenes of what I'm up to. And with a SmallRig friction arm and the clamp, you can easily clamp this to your camera, then with a 360 camera or whatever camera you want to use in order to get cool BTS shots. And the third reason why I love this friction arm is because it's like my third arm. A lot of times when I'm, for example, vlogging with the Joby GorillaPod, I'll actually attach this clamp with the friction arm to my iPhone so I can have my script right beside my camera. So if I ever forget what I wanted to say, I can just quickly glance over at my notes and then start talking again. Really, there's so many real life practical uses for this SmallRig friction arm. The second piece of gear that I would buy in 2024 is the Sony A7S III. Yep, you heard me right. A camera that's 4 years old, and I still would buy it because in my opinion, the Sony A7S III is the ultimate workhorse. You have 4K 120 frames per second for that buttery smooth B-roll. You have 10-bit 422, S-Log 3, everything you really want for a high quality image. But then as well, you have reliable autofocus, great stabilization for those ninja walking shots, and you have a flipped LCD screen, meaning you can see yourself no matter what angle you're filming from. Not to mention that it's a hybrid camera, meaning I can shoot both video and photo, which is really important as a content creator because I'm often going back and forth in between shooting photos and video. Now, you might not have the budget to go out and buy the Sony A7S III, and that's okay. Instead, just think about what kind of features this camera has that are important for content creation. And I would say the most important features are things like reliable autofocus, having that flipped LCD screen, having good stabilization, because then you can just run and gun, go and shoot, vlog, film yourself with those features. Of course, it's nice to have a great image quality, but depending on what kind of niche or channel you're doing, you might not need always the most highest quality video. Now, the third piece of gear that I would get in 2024 is, hold on a second, let me go grab it. This guy right here, the 16 to 35 f2.8. Now, I know that this is an expensive lens, but I literally have this 95% of the time on my camera. At 16 millimeters, it's super wide, being able to vlog myself, but as well the surroundings that I'm in. But then I can zoom all the way to 35 millimeters to get that nice B-roll shots, which is really nice to have that range of the width of 60 millimeters, but be able to zoom all the way to 35 millimeters. Now, even though it is expensive, the fact that it's always on my camera and I've literally been using it for years and probably years to come, it is expensive, but I think it's a great investment because I've essentially future-proofed my lens purchases. I'm not gonna have to buy a new lens for a long time. That is until maybe they make a smaller, less heavy 16 to 35, and I might be tempted to get that to make the ultimate compact vlogging setup. The fourth piece of gear that I would buy are these guys, the DJI Mic 2. Just set the camera down here and we can talk about these guys. For the longest time, I've been using the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, which is a solid, good sounding microphone, but the problem is that I'm limited to how far I can be from the camera. I have to always be holding the camera in front of me and vlogging like that. But what I love about the DJI Mic 2 is that I can just attach this to my shirt and then I can be anywhere. I have hands free, I can talk, I can get a lot more creative shots because I'm not limited by distance. Rather, I can get a wider shot and really compose the shot. And I just love how versatile and easy the DJI Mic 2s are. You open it up, you put it on, and they're already synced. If you're using the receiver and putting the receiver with the adapter straight to the Sony cameras, you can choose a certain preset for the DJI Mic 2 to sound best with the A7S III, for example. So essentially they've just made it idiot proof, not to mention 32-bit flow, because if somehow it's clipping, it's too loud or it's too quiet, you can adjust that in post. So you can't mess things up with the DJI Mic 2, which is important because I'm not a sound guru, not one bit. I have to confess, I'm actually the worst at sound. Any sound engineers out there, I would gladly accept your help. Fly you over to my office and do a whole sound day because I need to learn more about sound. Let us continue the tour. Do not judge me for my mess. Everyone has a messy table. But the fifth piece of gear that I would buy is the DJI Mini 4 Pro. The Mini 4 Pro is not only affordable, but yet so small, so lightweight that you don't have to deal with carrying a huge drone around with you or worry about the laws and regulations in a lot of countries because it's at 249 grams. Also, I love the fact that you can film in both horizontal and vertical because for me as a content creator, a lot of times I'm doing long form content, but as well I'm doing vertical content. And I hated back in the day having to just crop in that landscape shot into vertical, losing so much quality. But now I can easily slide the gimbal into vertical mode, get those vertical shots, and then go back to landscape to get my shots for the long form videos. And this has 4K 60 frames per second. It's got active track, which is really great as a solo content creator. You can just track yourself and film B-roll of yourself. So DJI Mini 4 Pro has definitely served me well. The sixth piece of gear that I would definitely invest in 2024 is this guy, the Tri-Charger from my good friend Peter Lindgren. The reason why I love the Tri-Charger, being someone who is often traveling and out shooting, there's nothing worse than being on a trip. Your batteries are all dead and drained. You get back to the hotel really late at night, then you gotta put one battery to charge at a time, put an alarm clock like every hour or two to change the battery because you need to have full batteries for the morning. With the Tri-Charger, throw in 3 batteries, they're gonna charge all night long. As well, you have SD card slots, you have micro SD slots, you have the CF Express slots. And if you're ever, for example, out somewhere remote where you don't have access to electricity and you're running out of juice, for example, on your iPhone, you can actually use this as a power bank. You can put on the out cord and put it to your iPhone and charge with your Sony batteries your phone. So this is a really, really great piece of gear to buy in 2024. I'll make sure to link them in the description, no problem. And you're welcome, Peter Lindgren. He didn't sponsor this, but you gotta do favors for your friends. And last but not least, the seventh piece of gear that I'd buy is the Joby GorillaPod. I don't sound so enthusiastic talking about the Joby GorillaPod because I have a love-hate relationship with this guy. There's been moments where, you know, it's just like so loose that then the camera falls over and that's always sketchy. But the fact that I've been using this Joby GorillaPod for years and I haven't found anything to replace it, I guess that proves that this is still a solid piece of gear, especially when you're a vlogger and content creator. Just to be able to hold the camera when you're walking and talking, but as well to move the legs around and place it really on any surface. It's solid. So I do recommend still the Joby GorillaPod, even though I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. If someone does know a better vlogging tripod stand thingy, then I'm all ears. You write down in the comments section, okay? But yeah, that is 7 pieces of gear that I would buy in 2024. Actually quite hard to choose only 7 because there's of course other pieces of gear that I do love or use, but those are the 7 that I find myself using on a daily basis. I'd be really curious to hear what would be 7 pieces of gear that you would buy in 2024 and why. Write down in the comments because I would love to hear your guys' thoughts.